if it's a kilt, you wear a kilt and it's like, oh, cool, your heritage, and then you wear a skirt and it's like,
whoa,
what are you doing? Yeah.
Also, they are fighting against the fundamental fact that femboys are hot. Okay. Is that microphone working?
And with that.
Hello.
It doesn't appear to be.
Wait, do a hello again. I thought it was.
Hello.
Yeah, there's no levels.
There we go. Now try.
Oh, is the gain not on?
Hello.
Okay, try to match the gain.
Keep talking.
Can you hear me? I am talking.
Number 9. Number 9.
Currently
Number
talking
9.
to the microphone.
Number 9. Number 9.
Now it should be
Number 9.
Can you hear me?
Are they on the same level now?
Hello. Welcome to the music podcast with
we need a catchphrase.
What is our catchphrase?
Just come up.
Zooey Mama.
Oh yeah, that was our opener. That was our opener. Zooey Mama. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, 6 feet above the ground and not underneath it.
A nice one.
I am Kai Hamilton.
Nick Bajestani here.
And I'm Mr. Waller.
Yes. We are all members of the compost heap known as Baylor School, and
Let's
shout
We're
This
restarting.
isn't a school podcast anymore.
No, we're restarting, and I don't think. Even if it's not a school podcast,
If they find it, then
let's
yeah,
not
no.
slander Baylor. Zooey Mama, what's up, guys? I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's your host, Nick Bajestani here.
This is the co-host, Kai Hamilton, 11th grader and worthless piece of garbage.
Guy, come on. We're gonna keep going with this, guys. We got our useless piece of crap here.
Okay, the useless piece of garbage.
Oh, right.
And I'm a longtime Muse stan, Mr. Waller.
Wait, do you still stand Muse?
No, I do not stan Muse.
Okay.
Muse has had a few good songs.
Drones was such a deep album. Okay, dude, we're all conforming to society, man, and we're all like drones.
No way.
We live
No
in a
way.
society.
Man, like that album cover where he's got like the hand on the joystick that's the head
It's like
of the
the government's
guy in the suit.
controlling us.
The government is controlling us and watching us on cameras.
It's about to turn into Joe Rogan podcast right
Been saying
here.
it for years.
I mean, like, come on, guys.
All right. Anyways, though, today's topic is albums of the decade.
Because it's even though it's November, we didn't start this podcast until this week, so we're a little behind on the decade ending.
Well,
but
2020 felt like forever, so I think we can get our albums of the decade list
mean,
rolling here.
2020 in general is just it's a whole another thing to unpack, but it wasn't a terrible year for music in particular.
That's
you know?
true.
There was
Not as much music as
some-
I would have hoped.
Okay, but some interesting stuff did come out of this year because of people's forced, isolation and what it brought out of them artistically, like that new what's her name, Charlie XCX record. That was good.
It's good stuff.
That was a good record. But as far as the previous decade goes, as music got more commercialized and more streaming oriented and less artistically expressive and more, corporate, good music also did happen during
There were
the last
lots
decade.
of gems in the 2010s.
Most of which did not chart and most of which did not sell over 1 million copies, but they were still gems.
And we're here to talk about those gems today.
Because we still care about our gems.
All right, Kai, you should start us off.
My top 2 are finalized, but the rest are just things that I thought were in the top 10 somewhere. I don't really care about if I prefer this album 2% more than the other. These are just the best of the decade in my opinion. As far as EPs go, number 1 for me would be I Can't Handle Change by Roar. I didn't listen to a lot of EPs, but that EP is incredible. I think it's very underrated.
Fantastic.
And
stuff.
I exposed you both to it, but I think more people need to listen to it. TikTok actually gave the title track of that EP some shine. And, TikTok is terrible, but
That's an opinion.
That is one good thing that has in fact come out of TikTok is people are listening to that EP now. But I've been standing that for quite a while now. Now, in the number 10 spot, we have Plastic Beach by Gorillaz, one of the great bands of this millennia so far, if you ask me. They are unique. They're expressive. Damon Albarn he's a really really talented guy. But Tootie's better, if you ask me.
Totally not the same person.
You know, number 9 would be Random Access Memories by the most popular EDM group of all time, Daft Punk. Fathers of the house music, redefining the electronic genre for a third time in their career. I mean, they made 3 albums, and each time they drop something, I mean, it just reverberates throughout the entire music industry. Rightfully won Album of the Year at the Grammys. Probably one of the only times where I think that was absolutely the right choice. Or, I guess, what year was that? 2013?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think I can think of a better record from 2013 than Random Access Memories.
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, number 8, we have Pure Comedy, Father John Misty. A landmark record, not only for its expressionism, but as how much it really defined the decade socially. How it talked about how, you know, current generation, we lack meaning in our lives. And it's as much personal for, you know, Mr. John Tillman as it is to, I think, humanity as a whole. The title track of that record, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it right now. I mean,
fantastic.
It's just it says so much about, you know, society. Man.
It's not even the lyricism alone that makes it fantastic.
The
production is great.
It's just incredible. Number 7, similar sentiment, Helplessness Blues, Fleet Foxes. My favorite Fleet Foxes record. Most disagree, but I think that it's a little underappreciated, even though, you know, they're acclaimed. All their albums are acclaimed, but speaks to me very personally also. Same with Pure Comedy, really defines the decade as a whole of, you know, Earth is just floating in a vacuum. As that song, what is it, Blue Spotted Fox or something like that? The Fox song. I like the Fox song from Fleet Foxes, a good song. Helplessness Blues, title track, also fantastic. Also, you know, really defining of this decade. Number 6, Bury Me at Makeout Creek, Mitski. I think overlap there on Mr. Waller's list. But great record, super personal. Not really about, you know, the society we currently live in, but it's just a great personal account by Miss Mitski as an individual. Very personal, very heartfelt. I'm gonna... Okay, this is a top 8 list, but, you know, 10 is just an arbitrary number, you know. It's just number 3, we have You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters. Totally listened to them before the Fantana review. I mean Nick Snowflake. Okay, I discovered them personally. No, I did. But it's a totally harrowing experience. Not a very pleasant listen, but a achievement nonetheless. A album I think everyone should hear, but not everyone will enjoy. Most people won't enjoy, but very, very seminal record, very harrowing record, very, I guess, insane record is what I'd put.
It's an experience that deserves your full attention for sure. You gotta put those headphones on and just listen to it if that's even possible now.
Number 2, we have This Is Happening by LCD Sound System. You know, great dance electronic group. I think probably the best band of the 2010s. I think they put out the most consistently amazing records that decade, from their debut all the way up to this record, after which they disbanded as a group, saying, you know, we're going to walk away from fame, and then completely undid that 4 years later. But, you know, it was a great record, a great parting record, a very... It's a very personal record, but at the same time, a very, you know, getting down with the music kind of record. Very well produced. And at number 1, we have Twin Fantasy, Car Seat Headrest. Will Toledo, hit me up, please. I love you so much. Also, super personal record. Complete, I think a very unique record in that it's a complete remastering and re-recording of a 2013 record of the same name that Will made in his high school career about the experiences that he was college career, that he was having at the time with, you know, bad breakup, sad. It's a bit of an opera. It tells a very nice story, lots of great callbacks, super well written, super well produced, very emotionally relevant, and a album experience through and through. I don't think you should listen to tracks just alone from that record. And yeah, that's my list.
Fantastic. Mr. Waller, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, 2010s was a great decade of music. I think it was a meaningful decade for me because in 2010 I was entering high school and starting to listen to my own music, starting to branch out from what my parents were listening to. So on that note, at my number 10 spot is The Suburbs by Arcade Fire, which is an absolutely amazing album. Captures a lot of the, as the title implies, captures a lot of the fun little quips, but also really heartfelt moments about the suburbs, about life, growing up in a neighborhood. Also blew my mind with a revolutionary music video that they put out for that called The Wilderness Downtown.
Have not
Really,
seen it.
really awesome. Yeah, you like type in your address to Google Maps and it like creates the music video around
that is sick.
your childhood streets.
Wow.
Very cool. Also on my list, The Seer by Swans. Love Swans. I think Michael Gira is an absolute genius. The album is long, but that minimalist kind of droning, really threatening music that he creates is really amazing, really transcendent. Love that record. Similar to Kai, I also have Bury Me at Makeout Creek by Mitski. It's grungy, it's groovy, it's a lot of different genres kind of mixed into this delicious emo salad. It's fantastic. Blonde by Frank Ocean also makes its way into this list. I think Blonde in a lot of ways defines my junior and senior year of college. I just was listening to that album all the time. Every song is perfect for those kind of late night, staring at the star, kind of hanging out with your friends kind of moments. So that album was really fantastic. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy also. Yeah, I mean,
Light 6.
I think I think it's Kanye's best. I think it's just a fantastic album, such good references, and I feel like for me really really captured the decade in a really interesting way as well. Good Kid, Mad City. Every song on that album is fantastic, and I feel like there was just a period of time where if you were tuning into either a hit station or a hip hop station on the radio, every other song was a song off Good Kid, Mad City. I mean, it was just a killer record. Low, Double Negative came out a couple years ago. Slowcore band from Utah. I sent them an email the other day because I love their music so much. Their manager had a very nice response. Waiting to hear back from Alan and Mimi, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, great album, great protest album, very clever political protest album. Yeah, sonically very experimental. This like pulsing, fuzzy rock. It's awesome. And at my number one spot, very operatic, very heartwarming, beautiful social commentary, but a beautiful specific story about a person losing their memory. Offerings by Typhoon. Typhoon is a band who is from Portland. Doesn't get a lot of recognition. Not a lot of people cover the record, but it is a feat, honestly. It's the writing is incredible. Beautiful poetic lyrics by Kyle Morton, lead singer. And the record leaves you with this somewhere between existential dread and hope. Made me cry. Incredible record. So that's my top 10 for the decade.
That album definitely reawakened my greatest fear of all time of losing your memory. Really captures that craziness of what it's like to watch someone you love just forget everything and essentially revert back to the knowledge of an infant almost. It's crazy stuff.
Very, very comforting listen. I think you should just listen to that when you're down and depressed. It'll really bring you up.
All right. Well, I'll go next then. There is no specific order except for the final album on this. So I'll start with number 10 being My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Mr. Kanye West. Mr. Waller had that on his list as well. Definitely agree. It's a super grand album. Lots of cool horns, samples. Definitely disagree with the Light 6 rating. it brings in a lot of the biggest stars of the time too, and it's really admirable, especially coming back from being one of the most hated people in the music industry, just with this amazing and grand album. It's just really good. Definitely recommend listening to it. A lot of the songs can be listened to individually, and a lot of them have had a lot lasting impact on radio stations or commercials, things like that. Power, I'm sure everyone has heard that song by now. Super, super cool. My number 9 was Pinata by Mr. Freddie Gibbs. Fantastic, I've got to say. It's similar to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy with bringing together lots of rappers into it. It almost feels like a collaborative project because I believe every single track has a feature on there. Lots of jazz inspiration too. It's got a lot of chill hits, lots more aggressive songs too, and I don't know. Freddie Gibbs has just such a deep voice, and it's so awesome to hear. You feel super badass. Number 8, Melodrama. Lord God, she is fantastic. I mean, if you haven't listened to Melodrama yet, I don't know what you're doing. You got to go listen to it. It's not incredibly long. Deals with a lot about growing up and the anxiety of it, and especially being a famous singer and being in those very formative years. It's a lot of stress, and I think it's a really nice album. She's got a fantastic voice. Highly recommend. Offerings by Typhoon, also on Mr. Waller's list. I don't think I have much else to say about that one other than what he said. It's really fantastic. The music, the actual composition, feels pretty cheery on most songs, which highly contrasts the depressing lyrics throughout the entire album. So if you couldn't even understand what was being sung about, at least you got some fun, pretty tunes to listen to. Teen Dream, Beach House. Man, Beach House is fantastic. Victoria Legrand, the lead singer, is amazing. She's also the keyboardist and guitarist for Beach House. Her voice makes you feel like you're ascending. It's really angelic. If you want some music to cry to or just, I don't know, take a nap to, definitely listen to Beach House. Plastic Beach, Gorillaz. Gorillaz is iconic. They've been around for nearly 2 decades at this point, with some misses along the way, but Plastic Beach is definitely not one of them. It's got a lot of hip hop elements in it as Gorillaz began to incorporate more hip hop into their albums, and I think it was executed very well. And they still maintain that alternative rock sound, and everyone just sounds really great. It's got a lot of good messages about the environment, and it's a little depressing too if you read more into it, but would also recommend that. Blonde, number 4. I definitely agree with what Mr. Waller said. It's that type of music that you listen to with your friends while staring at the starry sky. It's a very romantic album too, and very personal. Frank Ocean really delved deep into his own life, and it feels like you're just watching someone grow up or reflecting on their past. And Frank Ocean also has a fantastic voice. Can't knock him at all. Number 3, Atrocity Exhibition by Danny Brown. If you're into more either experimental or abrasive hip hop, I would highly recommend going into Danny Brown's discography. He's got a very weird voice, that's for sure. It's very nasally. Not sure how to describe it. You have to hear him to really know. But it's really just about a crazy experience with various drugs, and listening to it makes you feel like you're going insane. And yeah, it's really exciting though. Like, it's the type of music you slam your foot on the gas in the car to. It just gotta go crazy listening to it. To Pimp a Butterfly, I mean, what hasn't been said about it by hip hop Instagram at this point? It's really fantastic. Great political messages. Still really prevalent today, unfortunately, but the fact that Kendrick was rapping about this in 2016, and it had such a huge impact on the culture as a whole, just in both hip hop and African American culture, and even just American culture in general, is really something. Lots of great jazz in there too, and could not recommend that one more. My number one though, it's got to be Yeezus by Kanye West. It's crazy for sure. Very sexual. It very much feels like man is above God. That's the message being conveyed in this. That reaching the state that Kanye has, he feels like he's above everyone else, and no one can touch him. Hence the song "I Am a God," and the production on that. Holy heck, it's amazing. I think Lou Reed had actually said that it was one of the best albums he'd ever heard, which is really something for, I don't know, one of the greatest artists of all time to say about another goat. And Hold My Liquor, holy heck, the intro, you just got to listen to that. Mike Dean, guitar solo, wow, crazy stuff. Definitely my album of the decade. Can't stop listening to it. I listen to it all the way through almost every time I listen to it. But yeah, that's my list.
Yeah. As far as other going-ons this decade, we lost some great people this decade. We lost Lou Reed. We lost David Bowie, both of which had some great last hits before they went out. I mean, Lou Reed did make Lulu, but he also helped out Gorillaz making one of the best songs on Plastic Beach, Some Kind of Nature. Yeah. Love that track. Amazing vocal performance by him on that. And David Bowie's, I mean, I'm surprised neither of us had Black Star on our list, but that was just such an amazingly personal reflection of his own mortality. You could really tell that he knew he was going. I think he was released like a week before he died.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It was very soon before he had died. Really tragic.
But really check that one out.
We kind of had a decade of old farts releasing really good late albums.
That's true.
We had a Bob Dylan album, a Bruce Springsteen album, both this year, an AC/DC album this year, which, I mean, Brian Johnson is 73.
Wow.
And then we had, Leonard Cohen, we had John Prine, we had, all these kind of old dudes who were, nearing the end of their career releasing really great music, so...
Yeah, and some of the records on our list were actually comeback records. Like You Won't Get What You Want was a reformation album that Daughters made, which 99% of the time when a band gets back together, they are not as good as when they were before. Yeah. But it is the total opposite with that. Where they are eons above their previous material with that project. And the same goes for Swans. I mean, they're 30 years down into their career, and they're still making
consistently good. People seem to really love Swans. I haven't listened to them yet. Definitely will eventually, but
it's very selective. You're listening. You gotta be in the mood for it.
It's a real lottery.
That's for sure. Any other people that we lost this year we'd like to mention?
Mac Miller.
Mac Miller.
Shout out Mac Miller. He was the first hip hop artist I was ever introduced to by my cousin back in 2016 when the Divine Feminine came out. Thought that was a crazy album. Very sexual, very, very sexual. You got to be in some type of mood to listen to that. Just gonna put that out there. But really great. Unfortunate that we lost him. We did have Circles this year, actually. Really great album.
The best work of his career, if you ask me.
Honestly.
It's really tragic what happened.
It's sad to see the direction he could have gone in, but
yeah. We lost Juice WRLD too, who I was kind of similarly excited for where his career was going to go, and Juice WRLD and Pop Smoke both two very exciting young people.
Yeah, definitely not a fan of Shoot for the Stars, but his mixtapes prior to that were pretty good, and Juice WRLD I think was improving his craft over time. He was probably the definition of mediocre in his debut, in my opinion at least, but he was slowly getting there, and it's just sad to have seen him go before he could really.
There was also a very bizarre effect this decade. I call it the Lil Peep effect, where an artist dies and they weren't even that popular before their death, and they become like this. It's like a Jesus thing. They become super popular and really well received just because of the tragedy of their demise. And I mean, I'm not trying to spit on the graves of artists here, but your music doesn't change after you pass away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I certainly think that there is a trend, a problematic trend, if you ask me, of posthumous music being released. And there were some pretty tender tracks that were being released posthumously where, maybe the vocals are recorded, maybe the track is almost done, and the label puts it out after their death. But I mean, similar to what you're saying, Kai, I think that there's this problematic trend where artists pass away before they hit kind of the zenith of their career. And I'm not sure if this is the intention, but it feels as though there's some kind of capitalizing on the tragedy. And, you know, sometimes those posthumous records and posthumous tracks become the most popular track for that artist. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, so I think I agree.
It's so blatantly obvious when like a record was almost finished and they're just releasing it when the artist was going to release it, and when they just like slap something together off of unfinished material.
XXX and Tentacion.
Those records, example. All of those, you could tell that they were not finished, and someone else made those tracks. It was not X's records. It was he recorded some vocals that they had lying around, and they workshopped them together into a record so they could sell it.
And they didn't sound good. It's really unfortunate, just further tarnishing his name if you just release this mess of a record that's just a collection of random vocals.
Well, like if you told me Circles was made during Mac's life, I would totally believe you. Like it sounds 100% him. That is his record. It is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I'd like to transition into our hot takes section. This will be our next section of the podcast. So I'll start us off with the whole complaint that new music is too repetitive in its lyrics and sound. Gonna have to disagree with everyone on that one. One of the most popular songs of the past, Hey Jude. Go to the last few minutes of the song. Na na na, na na na, na na na, Hey Jude, oh Jude, na na na, over and over again for I think 2 minutes. So I think that argument's pretty invalid. I could find more examples, but just for the sake of time, I'll pass it off. So disagree with that one.
And we are not saying that that Hey Jude is a bad song by any means.
No.
The argument is just that music has not gotten more repetitive in the past decade than it was already. I mean,
it's a good example of a song that gets criticized for that. I'm trying to think of a good.
Around the World by Daft Punk. I mean, they say Around the World 198 times in the song.
People tend to say that with hip-hop songs. They're like, they say the same things over and over again. The production's the same. There's no change. I think that's more with older generations that like to reminisce on the past and think rock was the peak of music and it was always original and nothing was uninspired. But yeah.
Well, that's not to say that, I mean, the problem hasn't gotten worse in this decade as far as like corporate music. And I mean, if you look back at almost any other decade, a lot of the best music was what was most popular, and that got rarer this decade. If you didn't have a Nirvana or Arcade Fire was hugely popular in the 2000s. And did we have, other than like maybe, I mean, Kendrick, mostly rap, but as far as rock goes, popular rock is what Greta Van Fleet and I don't know, what even is a popular rock? Rock is in a bad state right now. It's
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that is just the world has changed, and I mean, I think we are seeing a bit of like a pop renaissance right now. There's a lot of good, like Robin and Ariana Grande and some people who are kind of just cranking out really, really awesome pop. But I think, in a world where anyone can release anything and it can get huge, Will Toledo of Car Seat Headrest is a great example, and any number of SoundCloud rappers is, case in point. But I think you find more and more that the mainstream is becoming saturated with the same kind of chain smokers, pandering garbage, and but at the same time, it's not hard to go in and find those really interesting, nuanced.
Well, it's easier to find, what you want to look for nowadays. And now you don't have to go to a record store and try to find that indie record. You just go on Spotify and you can look up, And also, online music critics, that sort of thing, it can really break an artist into some sort of popularity. No one was listening to Daughters until Anthony Fantano, most popular music critic around, was like, hey, this is a 10 out of 10 amazing record, and then all of a sudden, bam, they have 500,000 listeners on Spotify. And that's not, crazy popular by any means, but it's enough to have a living, and I don't even know if Daughters would have enough money to feed themselves if, they didn't have that popularity, which is really sad that some of our greatest musicians are just starving artists that, even though their music's great, it's just not very popular.
Well, Spotify isn't making that any easier with their new policy of pay
yeah.
to win. Essentially, you pay and there you go, you're popular.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like a telltale. We can talk about this. Like the new Spotify policy basically says if you pay them, then they will promote your music more than other people, which is basically revert net neutrality, and also going back to radio days when people would do that. And they're the new radio in a sense that they're the main way people listen to music, and in doing so, they're damaging the entire music outlet space. It's just capitalism.
Yeah. Use Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, yeah, SoundCloud, they're just as valid. Often don't get as much produced material, but they do exist.
Yeah. All right. Next hot take. Who wants to go?
Oh, by the way, hot takes are unpopular opinions on
Yes.
on certain topics, mostly music, but we can branch out into other things if we ever feel like it.
Or feeling dangerous.
There are interdimensional demons that are taking over our political system. Okay, they're putting chemicals in the water, turn the frogs gay.
All right, I guess I'll pop in with my hot take. So, we all know that Mamma Mia is a bad movie, but ABBA, one of the best pop bands of all time. I'm gonna say it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't really listen to ABBA all that much, and then my wife kind of got me into them. And man, ABBA was cranking out some of the most interesting, exciting music I've ever heard. Some of the melodies are awesome, and I think what's so great about them as pop artists. I mean, we all know that Dancing Queen is just one of the best pop
How
songs
could you
ever.
not like
I mean,
it?
it's incredible. But the groove is great, and I think what I love about them is that they embrace this really cheesy, corny. Some of the sounds that they choose, some of the lyrics that they choose, and some of even the melodies are so corny, but they so fully commit. And there's this awareness of it, like there's an awareness of how dramatic they're being, but the self-awareness allows you to kind of lose yourself in it and end up taking it seriously, and it ends up just being some really fun, exciting pop music. I mean, yeah, if you haven't dug in past Dancing Queen, Gimme 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 is an incredible song with one of the coolest intros. I mean, this synth, there's this like arpeggiated synth that just does this really awesome ascending little arpeggio that's really, really cool. So yeah, ABBA, man, if you hate on ABBA, give them a second chance. And if your only experience is Mamma Mia, as much as I love Meryl Streep, go listen to some of the deeper cuts and some of the rest of the discography. It's good stuff.
There you go.
That's mine.
We do love our underrated pop art. Does ABBA still make music?
They went on like a reunion tour somewhat recently. I don't
Another
think they released anything.
another development this decade was some very bad output from once great artists like Eminem would probably be number one. Eminem's output I don't know if this counts as a hot take. This is not my main hot take, but Eminem, your material this decade was horrendous. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It
just a
was
take.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that is
yeah.
widely
That's
agreed.
a lukewarm take.
Eminem, I mean, Green Day still cranking out
Oof.
material on this day. I mean,
No.
so I think some people just need to hang it up. Honestly, I mean, you can listen. You can keep making music. Obviously, it's your passion, but doesn't mean people have to like or listen to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Fair.
And I don't think you can base your whole sound around, oh, people don't like me, but I'm gonna keep making my own
Every
thing. Or,
album
oh,
that
the critics
he makes
criticize
is
me.
just about how critics didn't like the previous album that he
Exactly.
made. It's ridiculous. And Eminem in his 20s said he would stop making rap in his 30s, and he's pushing 40 right now. So, he went against his word, which is right. I think it's stupid to say I'm just gonna stop making music now just cause. But
Like Logic.
Mm-hmm.
Although Logic had a baby.
no,
Yeah, he had
well,
he's
there
raising his
are
son.
exceptions.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining about Logic
Mhm.
stopping making music, but
Although, hey,
Yeah,
hey,
same. Oof, not the best run.
Okay, Logic was a very bizarre example where his last record was so much better than every other material that he had made to that point. It was so bizarre. I don't even know if that record's good, but just comparing it to his other records, it is like a freaking Abbey Road.
Yeah, it's mediocre at best. So yeah, it's the best thing ever compared to Supermarket. Holy cow. That is
A rock
that is
record.
the worst. When rappers try and do rock, it is not worked well.
Shout out to Speed and Bullet to Heaven.
Love Kid Cudi, but
Oh.
probably one of the worst records I've ever heard ever. Listen to it if you want to have a good laugh, though.
Yeah.
Really
Speaking
entertaining.
worst decades of the year, worst records of the decade would probably include that and playing Nostalgia Critics The Wall.
Oh, man.
Just never listened to that ever. And probably maybe the worst record of all time, Angelic to the Core. Just if you want to know what bad music is, listen to Angelic to the Core. That is my recommendation.
Agreed.
Okay, we got a little off topic, but my hot take.
Oh man.
Christian music is not a genre of music. It's like saying that, like, I don't know, secular. If it's not about God, is it secular music? It's stupid. Like, Christianity is not a sound. It's not like a tone. It's a subject matter. Like saying, frickin' love is not a genre either. It's just a tone of a record. A love song can be a love song, but it's also a rock song.
Mm-hmm.
Gospel is the same way. What if I want to, sing powerful and not sing about God? I don't want that type of music to be entirely restricted to we're celebrating the existence of a God. No. This is enough is enough. And Christian music in general, I mean, maybe it's best that it's labeled in a genre because that means I can avoid it. Because I've seldom heard a good Christian record. Okay, Skillet, your music is playing in hell. Same goes with
Jesus is King.
Jesus is King. Okay, worst Kanye output. Probably ever. Jesus
For
is King.
Kanye to release something so mediocre was probably the biggest
Jesus
betrayal
is
ever.
King is the greatest piece of evidence that religion poisons everything. It ruined a man's musical career.
Oh man.
Okay.
Definitely opinion. If you're religious, as long as you're not a bad person, hey, you do you.
But Kai still hates you. No.
I will not hate you.
You can stick to your Bronze Age ideology, and I can
to
stick
get rid of all of our clientele in episode 1.
So if you've stuck with us this far, thank you.
Okay, so if you're Christian,
Oh my
if you support Trump, anyone can listen to our podcast. Okay, we need as many people as possible. Please don't turn away from our podcast. We need fans, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay for my college tuition if I don't get some money for this podcast. Okay. Please.
All right. Closing thoughts, guys.
It was a decade, and it was a good decade for music if you knew where to look.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish that popular music this decade had more to say. Ed Sheeran, your music is terrible, and you admitted that in Yesterday. If anyone has watched Yesterday, he openly admits like the Beatles are so much better than me, and they are. Okay, the Beatles are so much better than any top charting music that you can have today. And I may be a boomer for saying that, but I don't think it's that unfounded of an opinion.
Thanks for tuning in. All I've got to say is that on the note of the Beatles and Ed Sheeran, that Yesterday is the next Citizen Kane.
Orson Welles, you have nothing.
Probably the
Nothing.
dumbest plot in a movie ever to exist. I think they're doing this with the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No, they're making it.
could
I
be
thought
wrong.
it didn't do well.
Yesterday 2.
Yesterday
I
too, the
swear
Red
to-
Hot Chili
no,
Peppers
no, no, no.
edition.
No,
See,
no.
if the Red Hot Chili Peppers, if that
Revenge
happens
of
with
the
the Red Hot
Peppers.
Chili Peppers, no one's gonna want to listen to music. They'll boo
Weezer
the
edition.
offstage.
Weezer edition.
Oh,
a guy
yes.
finds out, and then he's like, "Do I pretend like I had the emotions that he had when he wrote Pinkerton, that Rivers Cuomo? Do I pretend like
It's just like a plebeian biopic, which biopics are plebeian enough. We don't need to go a step lower, but that's all I'll say about that.
Okay, some biopics that are good to exist. Bohemian Rhapsody is not one of them. But
There was Rocket Man.
I haven't seen Rocket Man.
It's not good.
Is Walk the Line good? I've heard that's good.
Okay, Walk the
haven't
Line
seen
is
it.
good, but yeah, Walking Phoenix.
Best music biopic that also came out this decade, probably Inside Llewyn Davis, Coen Brothers, fictional, but
yeah.
a fantastic. I think it really expresses the struggles of the music industry in a very real and emotional way. Shout out to the Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's all. I will reiterate again, Ed Sheeran is horrible. You are bad in every way. You are a music thief, and you do not deserve the popularity you have.
As a
Good
friend,
day.
and as a friend of mine once said, Jesus is king is the second worst thing to ever happen to Jesus.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
We
Zoo
Zooey
wee mama
Mama.
indeed.
Zooey Mama. And on that note, we're all gonna die. Goodbye.
I hope that last part's cut out.
I am editing this, okay? I am editing this. I have the authority here.
Whoa.